a closet at the top of our stairs. It was about 5 by 6. I was like, all right, I could fit a desk in there.
When I first met you, you were working in a small architecture firm. And then you left that architecture firm.
I gave up a 6-figure job.
Right. And
in order to lose $11,000.
Once you have the vision, you don't want to do all the other steps that have to be done to get there. So it's work. So you free your time to go do more of what you love doing.
You hold yourself back in business. You hold yourself back in life because no one can tell you no. Only you can tell you no.
Each financial decision is not in a silo by itself. It has to be looked at how it relates to something else in your plan. And most people are not looking at the big picture.
This is John Smallwood, and I am back on Money Isn't Today with a fabulous guest. Before I introduce her, before I say anything, I want to put this in your brain for a second. Beautiful design, beautiful architecture not only makes the environment wonderful, but it makes your life so much better. Anastasia Harrison, welcome.
Thank you, John.
Really nice to have you.
Thanks.
So I want to just give a little bit of background before we jump in, because you and I have known each other for 30 years, 25, 30 years.
It's 25 to be exact, because remember I was pregnant with a kid.
I think you were pregnant.
With Sabrina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 20.
22.
22 years.
Yes.
Yes.
You got to count the pregnancy.
You got to count the pregnancy. And I remember exactly where we were sitting at your house at that time.
The dining room.
Yes. And that was fun. You have this amazing career where it's in, your background is in architecture.
Yeah.
But you also have fashion design and interior design as your background.
Interior design.
Interior design. Mm-hmm. It was interior design. So when you went to Europe and you were designing, who were you designing for?
We were designing. Well, I guess you're right. It was fashion. We were designing for the highest,
Prada, Gucci, all those wonderful things.
Collezioni, Armani, Bulgari, Tod's.
And before that, you're working on a big infrastructure project in New York City.
Yes.
Like in my mind, it's like those are two so distinct and different design strategies.
Yes and no. Yes. I mean, working in design is about creating a place and creating a place of beauty. And there should be no separation, whether it's infrastructure or a place where you buy a $30,000 pocketbook. Like it shouldn't be any different. They should be equally.
They should be equally as beautiful.
Yes.
And I think, when I first met you, you were working in a small architecture firm. Mm-hmm. And then you left that architecture firm and ended up going to a big New York City architecture firm where you were head of sustainable design.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I went to work for...
all the LEED certifications and all those things.
Yeah, it was the number one architecture firm in the world. I believe it still is. And I was head of sustainable design for the entire sort of eastern swath of the world. So from Canada all the way to South America. And we were in charge. We were sort of like stewards of the LEED program with the U.S. Green Building Council. And 22 years ago is when it all started, right? Like when that was all really becoming very popular and everybody wanted to be in the know.
And for people that don't know what that really means, like just define what LEED is and define the sustainability.
Yeah, so the U.S. Green Building Council, I don't know how many years ago it was started. It has to be somewhere around 35 years ago. And they were really stewards of the environment in buildings. How do we create a measurable rating system for a building that we can determine if it's better or worse for the environment? So they created like a report card based on 5 categories, which is like transportation, building materials, energy, water, all the things. So you could score. So it's kind of like a nutrition label for a building.
Yeah.
So,
certain amount of net carbs.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So I became an expert in that and worked with many different corporate companies trying to obtain LEED.
The LEED certification. And how important was that back when that was really important. Like if you're building a building, you got really interesting, with tax benefits.
Credits and benefits. And then a lot of companies were trying to look less bad. Very large companies were trying to look less bad.
Right.
And so they were saying, okay, we are going to create a sustainability plan. And one of the metrics we're going to do is all of our new buildings will have a minimum rating.
And it came down to like lighting, fixtures,
Heat,
water
energy,
flow.
all those things. And the interesting thing is today we look at our building codes and energy code, for instance, to build a house. You need an extreme amount of insulation and really efficient systems inside that building. And that's what was gold back then.
Gold standard.
Yeah, gold standard. So you weren't just throwing energy out the windows anymore. And now it's standard. So what LEED did was it really set the world
It elevated
to a better place.
Interesting. But this is not about LEED certification.
No.
This is about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Smallwood Wealth Management is the lead sponsor of this podcast. You have an opportunity to have a free, no obligation conversation with one of our qualified advisors. Go to smallwoodwealth.com, schedule a call, or call us at 800-797-1000 and get on our calendars. And this is where I see the frustrated corporate exec who has to get on the bus or the train and go into the city and show up in the office. You got 3 kids, you've got nannies, you got all kinds of crazy stuff, and you're doing really well.
Yeah.
But you're not having any fun.
Well, no, I was having fun. I loved my day job.
Right.
Loved my day job. I would hate the commute. I'd hate the structure. I hate that there was no work-life balance.
Flexibility.
But I loved my job. And I always strived to whatever was next. Like that was just my MO. Like
Whatever they gave you, you're like, okay, yeah I'm going to go.
Yeah,
And
I'm going
do
to
it.
go and I'm going to do it. And then they were like, okay, well, we need you down in Washington, and you've got to work with these lobbyists, and you got to do that. And I would just always find the next level of whatever I was in, and that brought me joy. But the overall grind in competition with being a mother, a wife, a homemaker, all those things, it
A
was
corporate
really
ladder climber,
Yeah.
like all those really cool things.
You can't do them both.
Right.
Well.
So you're really an architect, but you have this amazing ability to come into a room, reorganize that room, and make it look absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
How do you like you're in this LEED certification, we're getting these buildings really well done. How do you when you jump ship and you decided to go business owner? How was it? How did you why was it not architecture? Why was it focus of interior design with the element of architecture? And that's very unique in the business. I don't think if you took 100 firms out there that are in design, how many actually the lead designer is actually an architect?
Yeah.
Like 2?
If,
You and somebody else.
Not many. Yeah, not many at all.
Right.
I would say interiors was always my passion, right? So when you go out on your own, why not? If you order a sundae and you want to only eat the cherry first, right? Do what you want.
Right.
And I wanted to do interior architecture. That's what I wanted. That was where my passion lies. That was what I love. I love details and have an innate ability to see space 3-dimensionally in my head and reposition it in my head. I can literally walk into a room and reimagine the walls. Like if you're watching HGTV.
Pull this wall down, move that.
I can see it. And it's hard to explain to people. But now with the use of computers, it's so much easier because now they can see what's in my head.
Right.
So I love detail. I love problems. I love fixing things. And interior architecture allowed me to do that. And then interior design, it just sort of fell into place. Like it was a process. It was one job at a time.
Yeah, right.
It was, okay, well, I'm going to do this one project. And then I loved it. And it was really successful. And then they spoke to somebody else and referred me. And then I got the next project and the next project. And then here I am.
Here you are. I mean, you've been in business since is it 2012 when you
2012 is when I left corporate world,
okay.
and 2013 is when I incorporated.
Okay. And you're doing this out of your basement, basically.
No, there was a closet. It's even sexier. It was a closet on the second floor.
Okay.
And it
Because
was
the basement was the man cave, and you
yeah,
weren't allowed
I
in the
wasn't
basement.
allowed in there.
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
it was upstairs was a closet at the top of our stairs. It was about 5 by 6, and it would just happen to be empty. We didn't even put shelves in it when we built the house. So I was like, all right, I could fit a desk in there.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, there was like piles of building materials and fabrics and furniture, like swatches. And I quickly decided that I couldn't sit in the hole anymore. We
Yeah.
called it the hole.
Yeah.
And then I moved to a part of the house that was like an unfinished attic.
Right. But it was so. And here's what's interesting: like people who want to get started in business, that not knowing, like you're working for corporations, you're getting a paycheck. Now you're out on your own.
Yeah.
And you've got to source materials. Now you have contacts, you kind of know, but you don't really know.
You don't really know.
You don't really know. But you start getting the material sourcing. You start looking for discounts. So, and like all the things that a designer and an architect, like there's windows, there's, all these different things. Like, tell me about that first 24 months of being in business, like the mistakes, the lessons.
Oh my God.
What is the biggest lesson that you learned in that first 24 months?
Well, it was the first 12 months when it was time to do our taxes. And there was this conversation of, is it a hobby or is it a job?
Yeah, you grossed a lot, but you also had a lot of expense.
Oh my God, I lost $11,000.
I was saying, yeah, your expenses exceeded.
I lost money. I was like, well, that was no fun.
I was working my ass off.
I worked my ass off, and I was like, I said to my husband, I was like, I'm a money launderer. All I do is take people's money, and I spend it, and then some of my own money got mixed up in it, and now we're down $11,000. And he was like, yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
it's cheaper than you out doing other things, though.
You're
occupied for 40 hours a week.
I gave up a 6-figure job.
Right. And it was
in order to lose $11,000, right?
And on paper, you're like, hey, I'm making 100 and something thousand.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, you got a cost account. You got to
right.
Yeah. So you learn
You learn from every mistake you make. And one of the important things is to not look at a mistake as a mistake, but look at it as an opportunity.
Oh my God.
Right? Like I never had any mistake that I was like, God damn it, I wish I didn't make that mistake, because it made me so much smarter somewhere else.
What do you think the biggest mistake in that first 12 months was? Was it pricing? Was it like...
It was probably trying too hard. It was trying too hard to do everything. Because the one thing you learn when you're in your own business, like, you can do certain things. You can do all of the things. But once you start to grow, you can't. There's no capacity. And learning about capacity was, I think, the biggest lesson in that first 24 months. Like, what's my capacity? What can I handle? And then how do I get other people
to do the work
so that my capacity could be where my superpower is?
Now, it was either a first hire or it was somebody that you partnered with. And I can't remember if it was the hire first and then the partner. So it was partner first. But you were kind of like outsourcing stuff to this person.
Yeah, we were working as a team, and I stayed in primary design, function, construction, and she was the one out there running around finding all the things, like making connections. Like, okay, we could buy from this place, we could buy from that place, and then really putting that together. But she was terrible with the bookkeeping. So that was our first primary hire.
And you decided to go partners as opposed to hire.
We were partners for like the first 18 months.
Yeah. And that, like, I see so many people, like, they'll have somebody and they bring somebody on as a partner, and that either works really well
or it doesn't.
And I would say almost 95% of the time it doesn't work because one person is really the driver. Like, when did you know that the partnership, and she's a wonderful person, I've met her a bunch of times, like, when did you realize, like, oh, I just gave away my vision for something that I thought, like, when did you know that it was a mistake?
It was never a mistake. And
No.
I don't look at it as a mistake. I look at it as a learning opportunity.
Correct.
It was when I knew I wanted to grow the business. I
Like
wanted
big.
Like I was like, okay, this is really nice. This is really fun. It's like two girlfriends running around town doing fun stuff. But I want employees. I want 401ks. I want a savings plan. Like I wanted all the things.
I want to buy a building. I want to do all this wonderful stuff.
I wanted to buy a building was my catalyst.
Yeah.
And look, you don't learn anything in life all by yourself efficiently.
No.
We go to college and we pay, like, I mean, what are the kids paying for college now? $250,000, $300,000?
I'm
Right.
$79,500 for Providence.
Well, that's
this
per
year.
year, right?
For this year.
4 years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, $300,000, right?
What's the opportunity cost on that?
What do they get out of that, right? So what I decided was
There's a lot of
I
benefits.
didn't know how to run a business. I had no idea. I asked you. I asked everybody I knew. Everybody give me tidbits. I had to hire a coach, right? Like I would have went back to school if I thought that was of value.
But the school would not have been of value.
Not at all.
And the coach was really a specific coach in design.
Yeah.
How to price.
Right.
How to source. How to market. How to get repeat business.
Yeah.
Like all that. That coach was really valuable.
Oh my God, she increased my business 850% in the first year.
And she forced you to hire somebody right out of the gate.
She forced me to fire people.
Yes.
And she forced me to hire people.
So you had at the time when you hired the coach, you had like three or four.
Four.
Four
Had
employees.
4. We dropped one and hired another.
And that hire was a really strategic hire.
Yes.
What made that hire different than previous hires? Like, how did you approach it differently? Because I remember talking to you about this, and I thought it was like, oh wow, I was trying to say some of that, but I couldn't articulate it to you.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from that conversation, but I want to get it from your perspective.
Right. So when you're running a business, you have to look at what you really love to do. What are the things that you love to do and you want to do continuing into the future? And what are the things you really don't like to do? Or what are the things that you can give
You're
someone
mediocre
else?
at,
Right.
like, yeah.
So we really needed somebody on that back end in the office to pull all the orders, pull it all together, be the fixer, be that person.
Make sure the orders are shipping on time.
And
Make sure they come in properly.
Right.
Quality control.
Right. So we hired a woman, and we had no idea what she was truly going to become. But now Zoe's my procurement manager, and she's like the rock.
Yeah, she's been with
underneath
you.
it.
Like, what a great hire.
Yeah. So she was like one of my really good hires. And then after that, I hired a senior designer to really take my vision and then push it through the rest of the process.
Right, because while you're a really good designer and a really good architect, like, you've got the vision, but once you have the vision, you don't want to do all the other steps that have to be done to get there. So it's work. So like that most people would view it as an expense.
Yeah.
But it's really an investment in that person.
Yeah.
So you free your time
Sure.
to go do more of what you love doing.
Right.
And what is it that you love doing in your business? Like if you could do one thing every single day that makes, to me, there's love and it makes money. The connection of those two things really, there's things that I love doing, but they don't make any money.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you do in the business that you love that makes the most amount of money for the firm?
It's face-to-face with clients. That's really where I shine, because I can see things in my head. I see problems and I see the fixes of the problems. So whenever there's like a big problem on a project, it's like, oh, please just call Anastasia. Just call her.
You're going to get that unclogged very, very quickly.
Yes. And that brings me so much joy.
I mean, I've been in the financial services business for 35 years, and I have done a shitload of house calls over that 35-year career, right? And I have walked into some of the largest homes, some of the most beautiful homes on the outside. And when I walk in, it's the most hollow, like there's nothing in that house.
Yeah.
And there's furniture, but the people are working, they're busy, or they don't have that confidence in their design, but they know they like something.
Yes.
How do you jump into their brain, understand like what is it they really want?
Yeah.
And then how do you continue to provide that value to them? Because that's really it. That's really like when you and I were working on my house, like my wife and I both have very strong visions about how stuff is.
Yes. And different.
Very different. But like at the end, it's like we see each other's side, but it's, like I think I see her side faster and then it unfolds. But how do you take two people and really figure out what they want?
So I thought a lot about this today, and the best client is the client that trusts you implicitly and says to you, you know what? I know what I like. This is what I like. I'm going to give you a guide, but then please just tell me what I need to do.
Like, here's a vision board of stuff that I like.
Yes.
Swatches, pictures,
Yes.
Pinterest, whatever the heck it is.
And I really try to lean in with every client. If you look at our portfolio, it's not like when you look at a project to project, they all have a similar style, like a lot of the popular designers today.
Yeah.
It's not a look. It's individual to each home.
The website is AHD.
AND.
AND. I always do that wrong.
CO.com.
ANDCO.com.
That's it.
Like, there's amazing photos and pictures and they all are very different.
Very different, right? Like, I might have a coastal client that likes white and light blue. I might have an Asian client that loves orange and green. And I have to lean into that and take their dream and make it the best it can be. And I really work very hard to create a space that's identifiably theirs.
Like it's the signature of them.
And it's layered luxury, right? It's about me telling them what are the layers you need to create that look you want.
Is there like a certain, like the elements of design, like the 4 pillars or something? Like, is there something that like you, like when you walk into the room, like we're in this recording studio.
Yes.
Like this is weird. Okay?
Very weird.
Right. But like, how would, what do you look for in a room to say, like you walk into my house or somebody's house and you're like, okay, I would just reorganize these things even without doing any changes.
It's about light. It's about how the sun rises, the function of that room. It's about knowing your client. If you have a client who is a night shift worker, surgeon in a hospital or something, the last place you want to put their bedroom is east facing to wake them up in the morning.
Right.
You really want to think about your spaces. So like if we're creating architecture, we have that ability to really create rooms in the right place in the site.
Interesting.
And then inside the home, what level of formality is this client? Are they a very formal family? Are they a very casual family? How do they want to live? And then we do space planning. Really, that's the best layer. First is what are the foundational pieces of furniture?
How do you want to use the room?
How do you want to use it? Yeah. And then it's all the things. It's color, it's texture, it's levels of design, lighting, window treatments, wall coverings, all the good things.
And how do you like, let's say we're going to do like the family room, and let's say it's going to be a casual family room, and we're going to have, the monster 75-inch, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, those damn TVs. I lose every time.
Yeah. The frame TV or whatever, right? Like, how do you take those things and say, like, what's the process for, is there like, because there's a look and a feel, like even behind, like, oh, if you're going to have a couch and then you're going to have a wall, is it one painting or is it 20 paintings?
Well, that's not an answerable question.
I know, but like, how would you like approach that? Like
it comes from conversations with the owners. It comes from understanding them, their wants, their desires. They might be looking for me to place a wall of fame somewhere, and it's a collage of art they've collected over the last 20 years, and maybe that's the perfect space. They may come to me and have no ideas, and I'll say, maybe we're going to do wall covering in this room because I want to bring the room in a little bit. I want to make it a little more intimate.
Cozy.
Because it's such a large space. There's so many variables on how to tackle it, but it really leads to client communication.
Okay. So how often in the design process do you redesign? Like the room is done and you're like, from your perspective, it's not done. Like
It's never done.
right. That's
It's
what I
never
think.
done.
It's never done.
I can walk into a project that's absolutely perfect and be like, oh, I wish I did.
This morning, Sharon and I were talking about one room in the house, like from a structure standpoint, and the stuff, and it was like, okay, yeah, like we've got to. It's not fitting. It's not flowing with the kitchen.
Which one?
The dining room. It's not really a dining room. It's like where we have that
We
table,
knew that.
and it's just awkward
Yes.
room. And she had like a great vision. I'm like, yeah,
I wanted to make it a little living room for you.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's not sure about that yet either, but she's like, because like, where do we eat with people?
Put a table in the other room.
Yeah, which we end up moving and setting up and doing stuff and stuff like that. But it's like, how often do you actually eat with more than 3 people?
Not that much.
And even though we're a family of many people at the
Yes.
moment, but
Yeah.
it's like it. But like that redesign, I think is one of the best things. Like you're never satisfied as a business owner,
Oh, God, no.
and you're never satisfied. Like I was having a conversation with my son Chris, and he's like, I see the activity level and all the wonderful things that are going on. You must be happy. I'm like, yeah, it's good. He's like, what the hell's wrong with you?
No,
I'm like, well, it could be better.
Yeah.
You could make it more efficient. I think the power of an entrepreneur, like I think the thing that I've seen you grow up with in this business is that you had a really good 36 months. Like the first 36 months, it was like, oh, once you figure it out, you hired that person. It's like, and many people would just sit back at that point and say, we're in our,
Yes.
like, we're here.
Yes. I'm always thinking to myself, what's wrong with me? Why can't I sit still?
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't sit still, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am constantly striving for what's next. We bought a building.
Yeah.
We could fit 6 people in it. We had a library. We had a parking lot.
It was a cool.
It was a cool vibe.
Yeah.
It had all the things. Nope.
Quickly
Nope.
grew out of it.
Grew out of it. Had to move on. I was going to put an addition on the building. We talked about that. Didn't make financial sense. So I rented space downtown. Quadrupled the size.
Amazing.
Tripled the size of the firm.
How tall is the ceilings in that building?
Oh, God, they're 14 feet.
That's it? I thought
Yeah.
they were like 20.
No, they're 14 feet on the upper floor.
It is like you walk into that space.
Wait till you see the new space downstairs.
Can't wait. Downtown Westfield, across from, what's the restaurant?
Adam's Tavern.
Adam's Tavern. Like there's a design center coming that is that you don't know that exists. It's going to be like
It's going to be a brand, and we're going to be in like every major city in the next 5 years.
Right.
I'm going to say that out loud.
we put that out there.
I'm
now.
going to put that out there.
Yeah, just like Mr. Beast.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'd love to be like Mr. Beast. But no.
Constant creation.
Yeah.
Content.
Yeah. So it's like I've learned in my business, I have cycles, right? I've learned that I have to write everything down. I have to make a strategic plan. I have to review that strategic plan at least quarterly. And
Who writes that plan down?
I do.
And then who reviews it?
My business coach.
So is it your business coach and then your perceived, like the
I
exec,
share it. I share it with my CFO.
your executive team?
My executive
do
team.
you guys get together?
Yes. I create a huge presentation for my team every year to tell them the goals, tell them how far away they are, and this year they crushed them with 25% over our aggressive goal.
What do you think caused that?
A lot.
If you had one thing that could say, was it
SOPs.
SOPs?
SOPs.
Give me an example.
We started standardizing our processes 2.5 years ago.
Standard operating procedures, by the way.
So from how a client gets in touch with us on our website all the way through to how they write a Google review on the end is in a system, and it runs along a path there are bumps along the path at times.
Every path.
Nothing's perfect.
Yeah, every path has a bump.
But everything's standardized. We know our process. Where we automatically send them, this is how you're going to share information with us. This is the information you need. We even have like what we call a velvet rope process, where we have at this time too much work waiting. We have a backlog.
How fabulous is that?
It's scary, actually, because you're always afraid that if you say no to somebody, you can't start today, that they're going to take their business elsewhere.
Right. And then you're putting the retail establishment, which is actually going to get a ton of walk-in business.
Yes.
That's going to make that backlog
Hopefully.
even better.
Hopefully. So, it's automated. A lot of the things that we were doing and spending an hour here, an hour there, it's automated.
Right.
And when you can do that in a way that still feels personal, because those workflows are personalized. They're not just a can.
Right.
There's a can template, but then it's personalized for every project. You can really create efficiencies in a team.
So you go into these SOPs, everybody knows their role. You've got how many employees now?
8.
8. How many do you want? And who's your next hire?
I want to hire a marketing person. That's my next hire. I want it on staff. We have consultants that do marketing for us.
Yeah.
But I think I'm ready to just have that person attached.
That's what we just did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I fought that for 20 years because I love marketing. I love marketing, and I think marketing, I think when you have a business, there's like 4 elements of success in every business, right?
Okay.
There's the attraction of new clients, right? And it's clients that wouldn't know you otherwise, right? And that's the marketing. It's driving the awareness of your product, of your store, of your design, of your thinking, of what I don't care if you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you need that attraction side, right? And I think with all of the digital and all of the print and all of the, physical locations, why it's become easier, it's also become a lot more complex, right? But then once you have a client, it's that retention of that client.
Right.
Right?
Repeat.
It's the repeat. It's the retention in the repeat and then the referral. Right? So I call it R, A-R-R-R, like a pirate, right? and it's kind of like, if I can attract enough of the right people, because there's also, your services are not for everybody.
No, not at all.
My services are not for everybody. Like, I look at design, there's an elegant design in wealth management, and it's taking multiple products, designing them together to reduce taxes and risk and fees and all those wonderful things. But it's like, everybody has the same resources available. Like, you can go buy that wallpaper online and it can come and you can have it hung. But like, what did you do with the rest of the room? Right? Oh, I love that wallpaper. Now what? But it's like, how do you organize it in that unique way to get that? But how do you make that speak to the potential client? And I think marketing, whether it's video marketing or it's a podcast that we're having a conversation about, or it's, like one of the things that we're, from the financial services side, we could never do testimonials because
Why?
it was considered promissory. Like, if I did good work for you, that was promissory. I may not be able to repeat it for the other person.
Oh.
So a year ago, the rules kind of relaxed and like, okay, you can use testimonials. And then it's like, well, how are you going to use them? Like, what's the format?
Right.
Is it a review? Is it this? And it's not one thing, it's everything, right? So I've got some stuff that we're trying to do, which is, in essence, capturing the experience, because the experience of your design process, in that the SOPs and the process and really getting the outcome is what gives you that retention of that client. Like, your best clients are going to do, maybe they start off with one room, but then they do a whole house.
Yeah. They keep coming back.
And then they do the beach house, and then they do the Florida house, and then they do the Vermont house, and then they do the Utah house.
A fun story. So we have a client that reached out to us about 18 months ago. They're working on a house here in Jersey, and they were looking for a local designer who could do all of the interiors. So it's interior architecture. It's kitchen design, bathroom design, millwork, beams, lighting.
Beautiful.
All of the things. Beautiful out on the lake. And they're from California. And they wanted to make sure that they found an interior designer that was local to New Jersey so that they could also watch the project. Because they were out in California. They just, couldn't be here. Fine. Great working relationship. Put the whole project together for them. It's under construction now. I get a call about 3 or 4 months ago, and she says, maybe this is a little crazy, but we just bought a new house in California. Would you consider taking us on as a client?
In California.
In California. And
Yeah.
I was like, of course.
But I can't be on site every day.
But I can't be on site every day. Yeah. But no, 2 weeks later, they flew me out there and
What part of California? Southern?
San
northern?
Jose.
Oh, nice. Beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful city. So now we're working on that project too, and it's about the relationship. It's
all about the relationship.
making people feel comfortable because you're going to have to spend money to do the work. So you might as well have somebody who done it hundreds of times help you through it.
And it's that investment in the materials and that investment that really, like, when I walk into certain things that we've done from a design perspective, and I walk into like that butler's pantry, I'm out of my mind with thrill. Like, it's got the right view, it's got the right colors, it's got the right look and feel. It opened the house up. It did everything that was right. So like, there's certain places where you just want to sit because that environment
Yeah.
is absolutely incredible. And there's other areas where we're like, okay, I don't want to sit here because it's not that fun. And it's like in a car, in a house, in a room, there's so many things that elevate the experience because like your clients are, what I'm going to say, they're not, average clients. They're not average people in the world. They're top performers. They're titans of Wall Street and industries and business owners and all kinds of different people. And they don't necessarily have the confidence and or time to invest in their own design.
Which is the best client ever for me.
Yeah.
Right? You want the busy ones.
You want the busy ones but like that process, and I think this goes back to the question that I was, that I was asking before is it's like, if you're going to go from the level that you're at now as the business owner, this risk of doing the brick and mortar store.
Yes.
It's sort of like a leap of faith because you can talk to so many people and they can be like, oh, don't do that. You've got to staff it with people and, it's gonna weigh you
I've
down.
had a lot of that.
And you're gonna be in jail. You're gonna be there on a Saturday, and you're not gonna be, you're gonna be there on the holidays. And I have so many people that I interact with that are storefront owners, and they just complain about not being able to get good people.
Yeah, but I have good people upstairs. So what's going to be any different than the people I'm going to bring downstairs? If you treat them well, pay them well, respect them, and work just as hard as them, I don't have a problem with my employees.
Yeah, and what was the biggest concern of like doing this? Like, because you call me and I'm like, yeah, just do it.
Yeah, the biggest concern is retail, right? Like the whole world shops online. But that's the reason to do it, is the whole world shops online. Right now.
And they return it all and it sucks.
Yes. Right now, everything looks the same.
Yes.
Everything has that same sad,
bland
feeling that it's just from a bad movie. And personality is coming back into design, colors coming back into design, that layered approach is coming back in design. And that's a really scary place for a homeowner who doesn't want to hire an interior designer or can't hire an interior designer is at. They want that look, but they're so afraid to go in, order a custom rust sofa and put it in the living room, because if you're going to put a bold choice in there, you damn well have to balance it with other things. But what we're creating downstairs are vignettes of layered rooms. So it's a whole room you're going to be able to walk in and you're going to be like, oh, she's got the Rust sofa, but it's got this, this, this. Oh, I'll take the whole room.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal.
Take this room right now and bring it home.
Yes.
Can I pack it up now?
You totally can.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So that, and like you're in your brain, like how often will you redesign that space?
It's in perpetual motion.
Yeah.
That's one of the
Is it going
things
to be seasonal? Is it going to be?
At this time, it is seasonal. I have been working with a strategy of what are some of the pieces that I can get in 2 weeks because they're stocked at the different vendors that I work with, and to replace them pretty quickly. But that doesn't give me the look I want because anything that's stocked is white, beige, or gray.
Right.
But then how do you layer other things into that? And, it's going to be an experiment of funness.
Yeah. Now, along the way, you actually have a division that designers can source to also.
Yes, we have a to the trade program that smaller designers. So, I've grown this giant firm, and I remember the struggles. The struggles are real. And when you're a solopreneur working by yourself,
Love that term.
You just don't even know what you don't know. And a lot of these young designers are facing problems in their business and how to make money and how to source things.
How to get better pricing.
Yeah, and that's us. We've opened our doors to them. I've opened my heart and my mind, and we have different sessions where they come in and ask me any question they want to know. And I'm completely honest and tell them things and help them develop their businesses so that they're more profitable.
What's really cool is when you started to do that, I was like, okay, you're going to let people in and they're going to build their business not inside of your business, but utilizing the beautiful design and all the things that you've done. And you're actually becoming a mentor.
Sure.
To these people.
Yeah, that's the idea because it also supplements my business as well.
Right, it gives you better volume.
It gives me better volume so I can continue to buy lower, so that I can continue to protect them and my retail customers.
Because that was the thing, like when we first, when you look back at that year, the first year where you lost the 11K.
God,
right?
yeah.
And we were talking about, COGS, cost of goods.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah, you're paying, you're paying more than you're paying retail
Yes.
for your stuff, right?
Yes.
And you're like, oh, yeah, well, I don't have the volume yet.
Yeah.
So this, to me, every business has an element of cost of goods. Your business, because to come in to do a room has a lot of cost of goods.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, like much more so than a wealth management business. Like we don't really it's paying commissions out or splits to other people, but I don't have to source anything, right? So when I look at a business, you have your gross revenue and then that cost of goods, the material that you have to buy, the discount.
People we have to pay.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
not my staff.
Vendors like
but vendors.
the kitchen manufacturer.
The moving van and 3 very strong men that are constantly moving our stuff.
Very important.
Very important.
And the person who can precisionally hang paintings in the right place. I was looking at in my house the other day and I quickly hung some stuff up and I'm like, oh, they're just like a 1/4 of an inch off.
Yes.
And I'm like, I got to go fix that. But
Yes.
that's not my capacity. But it's like those things, those little elements are so important. But the key to profitability in that business is driving that cost of goods down as much as you can. You actually have somebody on team that's really focused on that. That's your procurement officer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, but the idea of getting the outside designers to come in and utilize your services not only helps your profitability, it helps their profitability.
It does.
So it's a win-win. It's almost like a consortium together, almost.
And I'm still the one shaking the vendors down. Like every time I go to market, it's what's the next level of volume? Where do I need to be? Tell me where I need to be in order to go lower.
And that's your unique ability.
And then when I get even close to it, I'm like, hey, come on. I know a couple thousand off, but can we extend it to my next order? Like I'm always scratching.
I'm placing
for those
an order
next.
in January. It's not going to be here in December, but it's going to be really big volume, which I could place it now. And then I have the discounts going into next year, but it's not really good for anybody. Give me the discounts.
Yeah.
And like, that is something like, as the business owner, as the visionary of this business, like, you are the visionary of this business, and you're realizing that you're empowering people, but there's a layer above that empowerment that you as the business owner need to step in and negotiate and push.
Yes, I'm always pushing. I'm pushing the design team to design more, faster, better, smarter. I'm pushing my operations team to simplify things, monetize them, put SOPs together. And then I'm always in search of the next shiny thing, which,
What is the next shiny thing right now?
I think it's the store.
Oh, it is the store.
It is the store. I mean, we just started demo on Monday, and we have 14-foot high ceilings again. It's gonna be amazing.
Weren't they like? Wasn't there like a
8-foot drop ceiling?
8-foot drop ceiling
in that
kind of like what
gross-
we're sitting in this room.
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
disgusting in there, but it's gonna be beautiful. I'm really excited.
You know, when you first moved into the building, the downstairs retail was like really ugly, both sides. And then you went up these beautiful stairs, like it's an old theater, right?
Yes,
it's an old theater.
It's an old theater. We're uncovering some of the most magnificent old wallpaper.
Oh, really?
Original. I'm saving it.
In that new space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that would really be where you would enter, like, get your tickets and that, like
Yes.
that lobby.
Yes.
So like the building is, to me, is so interesting. But when you first were like, oh, I got great space, and I went and I'm like, you walk up through that downstairs, and I was like, and then you go up the stairs, and then we go, oh, wow, this is incredible.
Yeah, it's an incredible space.
But then somebody took over, in essence, in my vision, it's the left side of that space.
Yes.
And you actually designed that
I
space.
did. I was the architect for them.
So like now that's beautiful. And then the last time I came, I'm like, oh, if we can just get rid of the right space,
Yes,
it's
well,
really going to look great. And
we
then,
did.
then you're like, oh, I'm moving in there. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, but you know how that happened? That's not by happenstance.
How did it happen?
3.5 years ago, on my strategic plan, I wrote that in 2025, 2026, I wanted to start retail.
You did.
Had it in there in my strategic plan. And when I was negotiating the lease, I, through, I don't know, osmosis or a dream, said, I want to add a clause that I get a right of first refusal on the space downstairs.
When it comes up.
When it comes up. I want that in my
Comes
lease.
up tomorrow, comes up in 26, 25.
Whenever it does. And I've kept the retail store in 25 in my strategic plan in every year. And
Interesting.
my husband and I are sort of looking at our lives and what's next for us. Is he going to stay in the city? Is he going to, what's he going to do? Where are we going to be? And I was like, you know what? If the retail store needs to be outside of Westfield, it's outside of Westfield. It is what it is, but I still want it.
Right.
And then phone rings in October.
Leases,
Space downstairs is available. Do you want
want
it? And I was like, damn.
got to say yes.
I got to say yes.
Gotta
I
say
can't
yes.
say no. I've had it visioned in my strategic plan for 3.5 years.
Same way the building that we're sitting in now. 10 years ago, I'm like, when you sell, when you're ready to sell, because I
Right.
own the building next door for anybody that's little, that doesn't know that. And she's like, are you ready to, she's like, I'm ready to sell. I'm like, I'm ready to buy. Now there was a spot where I said to her, are you ready to sell, about a year before the building went out? And I had this vision of what I'm going to do here and how the firm is going to expand into it, but she wasn't ready. And then she was like 8 months later, she's like, are you really serious about buying the building? And I'm like, yeah, when you're ready, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm ready. And then she
Okay.
wanted me to close in a day. I'm like, whoa,
Take me a little
we got to
time.
do a little due diligence. We
Yeah.
got to get rid of the oil tank. We got to
Yeah.
do some things here, you know. But that vision, when you put that vision on paper,
Yeah.
now it's like one store, but now it's 5 stores.
Right. That's my next strategic plan. It's like, okay, now what's the next town? I haven't even opened this one yet. And I'm like, okay, where am I going next? How am I going to monetize this brand so that it can be what it is? Because in my design business, I have been very careful to create spaces for other people. I create their dreams and desires the best that it can be.
Right.
But the store is a layer of me.
It's your
my
vision.
vision.
It's your expression to the world. Like, we're here. You're not delegating that design to one of your designers. This is
Right.
your design. It's sort of like when you go into a really, really nice furniture store that's has a vision, like they look really cool. You go into one that's like a hodgepodge
Right.
of stuff, and it's like, well,
chaos.
it's just a bunch of chaos. Like, we don't want chaos,
No.
right? And I think what's really interesting is how much envisioning have you done since 2013? Like, how is your vision for what you're doing evolve every single year? Like, because what you thought was possible in
Yeah.
2012 when you said, I'm going to go out on this thing,
Right.
like, how has it changed?
I have no limits.
But you had limits then.
I had limits then. Yeah.
What was the distinction? Like, when did you realize that
geez.
you don't have it?
Success. Every time you have a small success, you
Yes.
realize that the limit was only in your own mind. It was
Yeah.
only as you hold yourself back in business.
Yeah.
You hold yourself back in life because no one can tell you no. Only you can tell you no.
Only you, and we are our own worst enemies. I see
Yes.
so many people, well, I can't do that. I'm like, well, you can't.
You can.
You can't because you can't.
Yeah.
But you can if you just thought differently.
Yeah. And now I'm older and
Not so.
but
No.
I know that there are things that I don't want to do.
Correct.
Not that I can't do, because I've balanced that, and there's nothing I can't do. But I don't want to do certain things, so I hire it.
Right. In this footprint of multiple stores, like even if you just think about, is it national? Is it New Jersey?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, like that's what, like, how do you unfold that vision of, or do we pick like, hey, really cool, like, are we going to Ridgewood? Are we going to
Yeah.
Greenwich? Or are we going to
Red Bank.
Red Bank? Are we going to, Cape May? No, probably not down to Cape
not
May.
there.
I was down there the other week. It was nice, But like
San Jose.
San Jose, are we going to Miami? Are we? But that vision, like now, I think you couldn't see the vision of 4 or 5 stores until you had the permission to do that
Correct.
one store here. And this,
Correct.
like, you weren't ready
Right.
to do the store, and maybe when the space came up, you weren't ready.
Right.
But what made you just like? Many people would go, "Oh, I'm not ready." But you're hitting goals, so you're like, "Let's
If you
just do
hit
it."
goals, if you set small intentional goals in life, in business, I believe you have to write them down. You write
100%.
down the goal that you want, and then maybe the 5 action items that are going to get you to that goal. And when you achieve them, you document that you achieved them, but then you write new goals. And you constantly keep moving up that visual ladder of success, because without writing them down, you'll quickly forget your own successes.
And you'll see, like we were talking about earlier, you walk into the room and go, I should have done that, should have done that, should have done that, as opposed to like, okay,
Yeah.
this is really awesome.
Yeah.
But now how do I do it better, bigger, faster?
Right.
It's a different way of thinking about it.
Right.
I think writing down goals, I think in a financial plan, in a business, personal goals,
Right.
the written goal, putting it in I'm actually talking like physical paper.
Yes.
There's something different than typing it. Like, you could type it, you could speak it, you could review it, but I think
I'm a typer.
yeah, but I think there's something about you first write it and then you type it. And some people can type it, but there's something about the revisiting of that goal, and then getting, like, to me, design is sensory overload, right? It is how many, like, the grander, the more layered, the more beautiful it is, the more visual I can get, the more I can hear it, the more I can touch it, the more I can, smell it, taste it, feel it. I think that whole big picture is what people really want. Like, when you walk into a room, it's not just how it looks, it's how it smells, it's how it feels. Like, there's the textures, like a wallpaper with texture is so different than a wallpaper without texture.
Funny that you say smell, because we're designing scents for candles that are going to be in our showroom. I'm specifically designing them with a candle maker now.
Did you talk to my Catskill candle people?
No, I didn't know about your Catskill
There's a
candle
podcast
people.
with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it.
Yeah, that was a side hustle
Oh,
that She just like,
I have a local candle maker that I'm working with.
yeah, really, it's a really cool story. But it's that vision of having that confidence to go out and do something and build that sense and build that smell and build a tremendous, because it's not just about the look. It is about the feel, the taste, all those things.
Yeah.
Even how the room sounds, like when you play your speakers and how and where the speakers are and the TV makes the room better.
Correct. I also want to just circle back to the professionals that have helped me get there. And like, you're one of them.
Thank you.
We bought that building, that first building that really changed my hobby into a business and made me accountable. I mean, you helped us find that money.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we've been saving for years for our retirement.
The
and all
bank
the
didn't
things.
like the building,
No,
blah, blah, blah.
nobody liked it.
Nobody liked it.
Nobody would give me the money for
Nobody
it.
thought your business was viable at the time.
Right.
All the bullshit.
Right. And you helped us find that money, put it in. And then not only that, but now we pay ourselves back in such a way.
So tax efficient.
Yes, all the things. I don't know how all that works, but again, it's about the professionals in your life. My
But
business
the coach, the you have a really great accountant, you have really great team members, and it's that mix of that mastermind group or that focus group. And
Yeah.
I would love to have everybody in your business in a room
Oh, geez.
to basically like, let's map out 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. Like, where are we going? And, who do we need? What do we need? And then just keep 1 year, 3 year, 10 years, 1 year each year, and just keep doing that. I mean, that's a hard thing to get everybody to do. But I think that's in essence, when I look at you, I don't see somebody that's going to stop at a predetermined age. Like,
No.
you're in your love, you're in what you love doing. And the more you surround yourself with really unique talent, the more you can do it, the longer that you're going to do it, the healthier you're going to be, the more involved you're going to be. I think it's fantastic.
I have no intentions of retiring. I have intentions of stepping back from certain aspects of the business. I'd love to grow. And I've had conversations with people on my team about poising them for future positions so that
higher
I can
level, of higher level.
so that I can step back, right? Because you want to engage your employees, you want to give them a strategic plan for their own future.
A vision inside of your vision that they can get their goals and their dreams inside of your world. They don't have to go externally.
Correct.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. As we wrap up, if you could say one piece of advice for, actually there's two, right? One is for those that are stuck in a job or a career that they mediocrely like, but have this vision.
Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice you can give that person?
Okay.
And then the second thing, you might answer this in the same question, is for those people that are walking into their rooms and they're unhappy with the way the experience looks, what should they do?
Okay. If you have a dream, a passion, a desire to do something other than what you're currently doing, don't give up on it. Don't think that it's impossible. And I know it's so much easier for me to be in this position to say, don't think it's impossible, but it's really not.
13 years later. Yeah, 12 years later. 'Cause you
Stop
have
saying no
hindsight.
to yourself.
Stop saying no.
Stop saying no. And
Give yourself permission to win.
yeah, give yourself the permission to try. And I would honestly tell everybody to write it down. Write down, and it's really hard to write a strategic plan. So in 3 years, where do you want to be in your business? How much do you want to make? How many employees do you need to make that money? How many jobs do you need to support those employees to make that money? And then how are you going to get one employee to get the ones you want in 3?
Sweet. That's awesome.
So you go backwards in your plan. And if you're in a space that doesn't bring you joy every day, you could just call me and I will fix it in a minute.
How do we reach you?
You can reach me through our website, which is ahdandco.com. And the name of our new store, which will be coming in the spring, is called Heirloom.
Heirloom.
And that's a lot easier to say than AHD & Co.
Yeah. So Heirloom is the new brand.
It's the new brand.
Interesting. Do you have the
The tagline and all that.
the like in the logo? Yeah.
I do. It's secret. Only I can show it to you offline.
Did you design it?
I did. I have sketches.
Cool. So Heirloom is coming,
Yes.
and Heirloom is really cool because it starts to create a whole bunch of questions in my brain.
Correct. Old, new. It's all about what my brand is. It's about layered design for luxury
Yeah.
and creating heirloom pieces for the rest of your life.
And that's not buying crap. That's,
Right.
back the truck up when I'm dead and throw it all out.
But yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh, this is really powerful. This was a really powerful conversation.
you.
And I
Thank you
really
very much.
enjoy
Thank you for
having you here.
inviting me.
Thank you for coming. We should do like a design, like when you open the store, we should
Okay.
actually go and be in the store with like, once it's set, like
Yeah.
not at your grand opening, but let's actually do
Sure.
a follow up
Okay.
in this beautiful rust colored couch or whatever it is. Like, let's actually
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. I ordered a pink chaise for the front window. So a set of pink chaises.
We'll sit in the pink chaises
Yeah.
in the
We'll
front
sit
window
there and we'll have
do
a cocktail.
a live podcast. Cocktail and a podcast.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank you.